fellow hobbits, Bungo here with a little more Middle-earth theory. Today we're going to be discussing some of the different spells that Gandalf used throughout the trilogy. Some that are incredible, some that are mediocre, and some, well, that are just for show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this magical journey. Who can forget our friends William, Bert, and Ted, the three stone trolls and the trollshaws that Thorin and company encountered that Gandalf helped make quick work of? Had he not showed up in the nick of time, perhaps, as Bilbo put it, Thorin and company would have been squashed into a jelly. And then, of course, down in Goblin Town, a little bit later, we see Gandalf use what Battle for Middle-earth 2, the video game, referred to as Word of Power. And of course, every good wizard has some sort of conjure fire spell. Although this is a little bit different than Saruman's fireball that we saw in Return of the King, this is still very impressive. I guess it's fairly safe to assume that at this point, Gandalf was slightly lower level than Saruman was. Another favorite by Gandalf is a ward spell. We see him fending off Sauron here, or the Necromancer as they called it in the Hobbit trilogy. Mind you that most scenes concerning the Necromancer and Sauron in the Hobbit film trilogy were not actually in the books, and were simply added in to extend time and add a mystique behind the story of the Ring of Doom. One of my favorites was one you may have missed in the movie trilogy. After we see Bilbo vanish, Gandalf seems to make it back to Bag End very rapidly. To me, there's no doubt in my mind that he cast a teleport spell to beat Bilbo back.
I suppose you think that was terribly clever.
Come on, Gandalf.
A bit earlier in the day, we see Gandalf dazzle some Hobbit children by lighting some fireworks from his cart with nothing more than his mind. Another illusion spell, but a spell nonetheless, is when we see Gandalf show up Bilbo's smoke ring by conjuring a boat and making it sail right through the ring. After rewatching the trilogy, I couldn't help but to wonder if there was some sort of foreshadowing concerning boats and a ring here. Just after the teleportation spell, we see one of Gandalf's darker spells, growing in size with his voice deepening and scolding Bilbo since Bilbo accused him of wanting to steal the ring for himself. This was just reassurance. During his battle with Saruman, we see both wizards use some telekinesis spells that seem to pack a serious punch. And for a little side bit of information for you, although in this scene in the movie, it appeared to be Arwen that conjured the horses that rode down the river and swept up the ring wraiths, it was actually Elrond and Gandalf in the book trilogy. And they were actually helping out Glorfindel carry Frodo, not Arwen as portrayed in the movies. But we'll talk about Glorfindel a little bit later in another video. Although this may not be considered a spell, we see Gandalf utter the dark speech of Mordor here, as everything turns dark. Another simple spell, but very useful nonetheless, is a light spell we see Gandalf cast after being trapped in the mines of Moria. We actually see Gandalf use two spells on the Bridge of Khazad-dûm when fighting the Balrog. The first being some sort of blocking ward that allowed him to block the melee hit of the Balrog. The second, probably the most popular, is often referred to as the You Shall Not Pass spell, which was, simply put, Gandalf smashing his staff into the Bridge of Khazad-dûm and sending the Balrog back into the abyss, defeating him. Just a bit of Middle-earth history here for you. Gandalf was actually the second and only person to ever defeat a Balrog in combat, the other being Glorfindel, the firstborn elf. Unfortunately, Glorfindel never made it to the big screen. And in the Fangorn Forest, who can forget the illusion spell when Gandalf changes and appears to be Saruman the White? Why he did this to his friends, or who he was trying to fool, is still unknown. I've always theorized that Gandalf must have multi-classed, because in this scene in the Two Towers, we see him exorcise Saruman from Theoden. Fatality. Another priest-type spell was Gandalf's resuscitation spell on Pippin, after Pippin had grabbed the Palantir from him. According to the books, when Pippin grabbed this, he felt the weight of the entire ring just as Frodo did upon him. And I'll leave you with this, the Light of Astari spell that Gandalf used to ward off the Nazgul when they were attacking the city of Minas Tirith. Thanks for watching, fellow Hobbits. If you liked this video, go ahead and subscribe and give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you hated it. Either way, until next time, my precious